Oh, right. How we doing? Let me know if I'm blowing up your ears. Getting I had a sore throat or whatever this morning, so I'm just getting over that. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It is Talladega, baby. And yes, Cletus got a top 10. I saw that. That was awesome. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. I love not blowing up uh your guys' ears. And yes, this is a morning iceberg fam. Yes. Well, morning for everyone who's not in Central Time and Eastern Time. If you're on the West Coast, good morning. If you're in the Mountain Time, good morning. If you're everywhere else that's in the morning, good morning. Good afternoon to everybody else. Yeah, a lot of people are asking, like, hey, yeah, like 1 p.m. Hey, a noon start time for me. A lot of people are asking, like, oh, we're doing pre-race shows. I want to do a couple of these this year for at least the bigger races, maybe the network one, super speedway, stuff like that. And just a fun little hangout thing. We did one before the Daytona 500. I think the next one will probably be before the Coke 600. So yeah, I mean, I want to kind of chill for a little bit beforehand. Remind you guys that we will be live after the race too. And already super chats coming in. Austin here says, "Is it just me, or does this Dega race have a big feel to it that other Dega races haven't in a long time?" Love you, Jarrett. He has risen. Uh, I feel like there's like two ways people are looking at this right now. Um, I feel like some are definitely, I think, on the train that it feels bigger. And I think to a degree there is that feel, especially after what happened with Bristol, what happened with Darlington, what happened with Martinsville. The racing wasn't the greatest with that. It wasn't the most positive the fan base has been this year. And then you have Easter to kind of cool it down. Racing for the Cup Series at least is back and good to go. You had the kind of high of Rockingham being fun, and I think that might be part of people being more excited. You have the other end of I saw a lot of people who were like, I'm not excited for Dega because of the rules and how they are. And I get that part of it too. The super speedway racing for the last 4 years has been really, really, has been really, really lackluster. And the rules definitely should probably be looked at with the package and stuff. So there is I think there's both sides of it. I mean, for me, I'm excited because it's Talladega. Like, I love Talladega weekend, especially the spring. Spring Talladega for me, I've always liked a lot more than the fall one. Not that I disliked either of them, but the spring race for me has always been the one that I get the most excited for, because it's that first run at Talladega of the year. At this point, when you hit Talladega, you're out of that first quarter of the year. Even if you're technically on race 10 or 11 or whichever that they ever put it on, you kind of get that feeling like, okay, we are out of the start of the season. We are starting to dive into, after Talladega, the big part of the year. And it means that you got the first half of the super speedways done with the year. No matter if you have 6 or 4, it was always the first half done. And so you kind of knew where everyone stood moving forward, who was going to have to go and take chances for wins in the playoff system, who was going to have to make up points in the chase system. So it was always where it stood in the schedule, as well as the fact that it's always Talladega. Plus, me and my family, when I was growing up, we would have Talladega parties and Daytona 500 parties. We didn't have Super Bowl parties. We didn't have, like, other than when the Cubs were in, we didn't have World Series parties. We had Daytona and Talladega parties. So there definitely is that excitement for me. Now, again, we'll probably get 30 laps in. There'll be fuel saving, and I'll be like, oh, great. We're back to this crap again. But hey, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade heading into it. I feel like, and I know I've had a few rants, and I know I went, I won't say viral, but I know that the clips made the rounds yesterday of me, like, kind of talking about how fans like to complain. And I know it's ironic because I complain a lot, but I feel like I've been a little more positive this year. I remember Rasheem Hall Stewart with the question here: better super speedway, Daytona or Talladega? I think that's actually a really good one that we can run a poll on. And I'll just put favorite super speedway. And by the way, you know, we'll go over some more stuff, and we'll put the starting lineup on the bottom in a moment. But I do want to see what you guys think. What's your favorite super speedway of the two? Um, I'm gonna go Talladega. I know Well, I don't know. I don't know. Growing up, it was Talladega, but experiencing Daytona in person was amazing. I mean, that is the best facility for sports in the world. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know which I'd probably say I'd lean Daytona now. But I love Talladega too, and I've always loved it growing up. It was always my favorite growing up of the super speedways of the two of them. As much as I like Daytona, I was excited for the 500 and the 4th of July race. There was just some kind of feel heading into Talladega week. Um, you know, I get it. And then where did this one go? I saw this one here saying, when did we start celebrating mediocrity? Cletus is below average. It's not that we're celebrating mediocrity. I think it's more that it's a lot of us like Cletus McFarland and his personality. And it's fun just having him in there. New people coming on in. I believe at one point they peaked at almost like 70,000 on the live stream on NASCAR's channel for him. I think that's more what people like. Like, don't get me wrong, Cletus McFarland, like his top level is probably being in a bad truck ride. If he gets Xfinity or Cup, it's solely off of his following. I have no delusions of grandeur that he's going to be a superstar one day. But it is still pretty cool that he did. I know it's a super speedway, did run top 10, did bring those eyes to the sport. And I think that should be celebrated in the fact that bringing new people to the table that might have never watched ARCA, especially, probably would never watch ARCA, especially, but never watch anything NASCAR adjacent or associated. I did not see Bell's comments on Cletus McFarland. Is that something that just happened today? And is this the first pre-race stream? No, we did one for the Daytona 500. We'll do one today. Definitely going to do one for this Coke 600 because it'll probably be also like a quasi Indy 500 post-race stream. So, because Kyle Larson's in it, we'd have a lot to talk about with that. But this is not a Kyle Larson or an Indy 500 or a Coke 600 deal. But yeah, I mean, let me know what he would say. I did not see his comments. I will be fully honest with you. I have, outside of watching the race yesterday and the post-race stream, I have been out of the loop. I have been moving. I don't know if you can catch, there's a huge echo in this room because I've taken so much of this down around the room. So there, I've been out of the loop. So let me know. But let's talk about the Talladega race today. Let's talk about the Cup race. That's what you guys are here to talk about. I'm going to read off the starting lineup. They're actually, I'm not even going to read it off. I apologize for those who are listening right now. I'm going to put it on the bottom of the screen here. The 2025 Jack Links 500 starting grid. There you go. Find where your driver's at down there. I'll say I'm looking through the lineup, on my end there. Let's see. It was yesterday. He basically said that Cletus is a breath of fresh air in NASCAR and he's not a PC type guy. Yeah. I think that's why he's being celebrated, not because he's a great driver, but because it's something new. But looking at the starting lineup here, there's a lot of people who catch my eyes, especially. For one, Zane Smith on the pole. It catches my eye because it just continues that dominance that front row has had on the front row in these races. Kyle Busch starting up front. He needs that because we know Kyle Busch can run well and win these races. RCR is unbeatable almost in the Xfinity series, but they're pretty damn solid in the Cup series too. So there is that to look at with him if he's up front. Same with Joey Logano, somebody who has been running up front, leads tons of laps, always has issues. Being up front is going to be a huge bonus for him. But then the guys in the middle of the pack and back. William Byron, 16th. Alex Bowman, 18th. He's been somebody who has flown under the radar, much like he always does. Brad Keselowski, 22nd. I'm going to say this about Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski, in my opinion, this is a must win. And I know that's crazy to say. I know we have like 16 races before the playoffs. We have Atlanta, we have Daytona coming up before that. There are other tracks he runs well at, but he has been awful. He has been absolutely awful this season in a way that I don't think I've ever seen from him. Even when he was running, you know, like even when he was running the 12 car back in the day, I don't think I've ever seen him this bad. And let me know if I'm overboard on that. If you think I'm jumping the gun, but I don't see, outside of a crazy strategy race or something like that, I don't see Brad Keselowski winning a race this year. I points wise. I mean, I'm you know, looking down the line, and where is he at? He is 31st, 68 points out already. He's over a full race out already. And we know that there's going to be more winners coming, you know. Like we know there's going to be guys who win races that are not in the main group. I mean, I'm looking down at the guys outside right now that would change the cut line if they won. AJ Allmendinger, I personally don't think Colley's going to get a win this year, but he could win a road course. He's good enough. Stenhouse could win today. McDowell could win today. Ty Gibbs, who was running really bad, has gotten it kind of back on track. That's going to change the points picture a lot. Cindric has actually run pretty well this year, all things considered. Had he not had that big penalty, he'd be well within the top 16 right now. Other guys that could get wins, Shane Van Gisbergen at a road course. There's no reason to think that he can't win Chicago, especially if he doesn't have a freak deal like last year. So for me, Brad Keselowski, that 6 team, they are off right now and in a lot of ways. And I really think that they need to win today, because if you're putting all of your chips into Atlanta, which is very difficult to make your way forward if anything happens, or all your chips into Daytona, or taking weird strategy calls that more on often than not going to work. That is rough. That is rough in the sense that you're not going to have those opportunities open up all the time. So I'll say Brad Keselowski, starting in 22nd. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Other guys that are towards the back in the starting line, 30th, Chase Elliott. I think this is a great opportunity for Chase Elliott to get a win today. But starting 30th, it will be difficult because it's difficult in this package to make your way up. So the starting lineup actually does matter in a lot of ways. And I get that a lot of these guys probably will pull up, go to the front and do the fuel saving 3-4 wide, whatever. So that might help them. But there's Ricky Stenhouse, 35th. I think Ricky Stenhouse is one of the favorites today, but it's going to be difficult. So there's a lot to look at with the starting grid compared to the way super speedway racing used to be. If this was the 2019 to 2021 Gen 6 package, I'd be like, maybe they hang out in the back for a bit and work their way forward. Like, I don't think you can do this, do that in this package, especially like we've seen it in the past. I've written down the trend. The last 3 Talladega races all have 4 cautions. There's the 2 stage yellows. There's a miscellaneous caution somewhere in the race at some point, whether it's the first stage, second stage, wherever. And then there's the big one at the end. And if I was a betting man, I used to be, I'm not anymore, but if I was a betting man, I would say we're probably going to get around 4 cautions today. Maybe we get more if craziness happens, but we're probably going to get the stage yellows. Well, we're for sure going to get the stage yellows. We're probably going to get something in the one of the first 2 stages halfway through, whether it's like a debris yellow, a 1 or 2 car wreck, whatever that might be. Maybe it happens during green flag pit stops. And we're probably going to get a really big crash with 7 laps to go, just like we always seem to. That's going to take out a majority of the field, and then we'll have like a 3-lap run to the finish or a green white checker or whatever. And so if one of those cautions especially comes out, and you're in the back, I've already pitted, anything like that, during the green flag run too, like that's going to be something that pops up and is going to be an issue. I saw I missed a super chat earlier. I want to catch it really quick from Austin saying, just a theory, with Fox losing the Coke 600 TV rights, does that make Dega a bigger race for Fox than it used to be? Do they treat it like a big deal? Maybe. I would hope so. I know that they've been really pushing their eggs into the IndyCar basket, as they should. That's their new property. But it does feel like the 3 races on Fox and Bowman Gray, it felt like they did give it a bigger feel. At least they tried to. Daytona, obviously, Atlanta, definitely. But even Coda, it felt like they were trying to give it a bigger feel, get more people out there. So it very well could. I hope it does, because I think this race, even if it doesn't live up to the racing we've had in the past, I think does deserve to have that kind of push to it. So we talked about starting grid, talked about the trends of the yellows, the package talk. That's going to be the big one. We're going to talk about the package. The drivers are talking about the package. Christopher Bell is calling for it to be changed, and with his stance in the garage right now, big words. If he's coming out and saying that, that is big words. NASCAR is listening. And I want to kind of go back on something in the past that we talked about. Not go back on my opinion, but more go back and touch on this. Back in 2019, I was in the garage at Kansas after the Cup race in the playoffs. I got hot passes. I hung out around Blaney's pit. Was semi-shadowing, he didn't know, but I was sort of shadowing Marty Snyder around, watching what he was doing, because I wanted to learn stuff about the pit reporting, and it's insane how much stuff they have going on down there. But one of the things that happened, and I talked about it on the podcast at that point, and I brought it up recently, is that I actually got to spend about 10 minutes talking to Jim France. And when I was down there, he kind of took me through the inspection line. It was crazy, because I don't see myself as somebody who deserves that. And back then, especially, not even close to the following I have now. But when I went through, he was talking about the next gen car. And part of what he talked about is, going in phases, work on short tracks, then work on intermediate super speedways. But one line of his sticks out in my brain a lot. And it sticks out every time we go to Daytona and Talladega. Not as much Atlanta, because Atlanta and this car just gel perfectly. But one of the things that he brought up is that the super speedway side was important because it's their biggest race with the Daytona 500. And of course, you can branch off and talk Talladega and the other Daytona race. Talladega races and the other Daytona race are important. And I feel like the actions have not followed those words. I feel like that the way that NASCAR has basically not changed the super speedway package, for sure this year, might have been 2 years. I don't even know, but not had any real meaningful change to it. And the racing has been lackluster. The fuel saving stuff is the teams and the way the stages are put out and everything. I don't think we get away from that, but the racing itself, when they go full out, is less than satisfying after what we saw with the Gen 6. And I think with Christopher Bell saying what he's saying, thinking of those words that Jim France did say about that racing, knowing where Fox and NBC are putting every single super speedway race outside the summer Atlanta race on big network television, and that one will be a TNT race and is their big kickoff and is their local race. Atlanta, I think, gets a pass because it works on its own animal. It's its own beast. But I think they need to follow through with that. These races now, because of the eyes that they can bring in and because of the opportunity they present, need to be bangers, or at least more often than not be bangers. We can't help what happens at the finish. We'll talk about the Xfinity race in a bit. But I think, they probably can't do much this year. Unfortunately, we're probably stuck with it this year, but I think heading into 2026, there need to be big swings. There needs to be preseason testing at Daytona to try and find some pretty good solutions. I think they've taken baby steps. I thought the Daytona 500, the racing actually before the big wrecks, was actually pretty decent. Not great. Maybe mediocre is the right word. It wasn't, a lot of it's been terrible before, and now it's sort of decent to mediocre. I think they need to have some big swings. Open up preseason thunder as well. Have a day or two of testing like they did in 2022 when the car was new. I was there. The hype was unimaginable. It was insane. And that hype carried into the Daytona 500 live in person. I think you don't have to do it every year, especially with the cost cutting and all of that. But this, to me, is a very important thing that needs to be touched on big time. So just want to put that there. Like we talk about the short tracks and the intermediates and the road courses and which one's good, which ones need improved. Super speedways. These are very important races now because of the way that NASCAR made the contracts and because of the way the networks treat them and the new eyes they can bring in. They need to be treated as such. I think I missed a super chat here from the Polish Hardware Store for the 5 here says, is today going to be another give a commercial every 6 laps on TV? Also go Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric, I think, is somebody really good to watch. And we're going to talk actually in a moment about people that I think we need to watch today. I have numerous people to talk about with that. But if it's anything like the first 3 races, they actually might do more side by side. They did that with the Daytona 500 in Atlanta in particular. I don't know if Fox is doing it this time or not, but they put the first 3 races, they put the first 2 stages of the races on YouTube streamed live. And then they took it down at the end of the final stage and said, go to Fox and watch. So maybe that's what happens. I doubt that they're going to probably go as hard on that as they did for Atlanta and Daytona and Coda. But boy, would I love if they did. I don't think it'll be as bad. I'm hoping, I should say. I don't know anything on that side of it. I'm hoping it's not as bad, but I'm not sure. Fingers crossed. Let's talk about some of the people that we'll be looking at today, and then we can talk a little more of the Xfinity race, any super chats that roll in. I'll try and cover those. On NWP, we gave our picks, and I guess I can read off everybody's picks that is interested with it, by the way. That way, you know who to root for or against if you're really, really like wanting the bragging rights there. Our guest John picked Ross Chastain. I have William Byron. I'll go in depth on William Byron with that in a moment. Ryan Blaney is the chat's pick. Christopher Bell for Danny. Kyle Busch for Eric. Now, I want to talk about my picks. I had 2 guys circled here. 2 guys that have been the most consistent at super speedways, have won races at Talladega, Daytona, have been good in this car at super speedways. And of course, I told you before, is William Byron. William Byron has been the best super speedway racer when you look at just average finish. I don't think anyone else is even close to him right now. It's a reason that he's my pick. And then Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been really good with the super speedway racing in this car. I don't know if it just fits his driving style well or what it is, but he has been pretty lights out, all things considered. Those 2, I think, are the ones you got to watch at the end of this race. If they're running 5th, 6th, 7th, they're the ones that if anyone can make a move, would make that move. Plus, let's be honest, Byron, as good as he is, luck has been nice to him as well at these tracks. So there is that. There's 5 others that I think we need to watch today. And for different reasons, for either how they've run before, speed they've shown, or the fact that I think they're due. First one is Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell was so close. If he hadn't been turned, he may have won the first, 4 races in a row or whatever it was. Because I think he won. Yeah, I mean, he could have won the Daytona 500. People forget he was crashed out of the lead in that race. And do not underestimate Joe Gibbs Racing, that 20 team. They have been really hot at these tracks before. And I really think Bell is somebody to watch here. On the other end of it, he's run well before, not gotten the finishes. Ty Gibbs. I believe in momentum a bit in this sport. I think that that Ty Gibbs could be somebody to watch that nobody's really thinking of. We've seen him before run and lead laps here. I don't think there's any reason to think he can't do the same again. A couple others to watch. Noah Gragson. Gragson's run up front before at Talladega. Fords are really good at this track. I think that Noah Gragson is an underdog. Like, I don't know what his odds are, but I bet you could get some good money on a Noah Gragson bet for the win. Again, I'm not sponsored by anyone betting. I don't bet anymore myself, but that's somebody I think you'd watch. And then 2 Hendrick Motorsports teammates that are going under the radar. Well, I talked about William Byron and Chase Elliott, so it's Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson. And you're probably going to laugh at me saying Kyle Larson. But Larson's finishes at super speedways, especially Daytona, Talladega, have gotten better. They're not great, but he runs up front more. and it's noticeable. He will get stage points. I know it sounds funny for me to say that. He very well could crash and finish 39th today. He also could get a top 10 or so today. He is someone who's sneaky to watch. He is, in my opinion, he is an underdog. This is one of only 2 or 3 tracks in the NASCAR Cup Series that Kyle Larson's an underdog. He has gotten better. I'm glad a lot of you in the chat I've noticed that. Yes, he runs well, can't finish, but he has gotten some top 10s recently. Alex Bowman, another one. Nobody is paying attention to Alex Bowman. He could go out and win today. Another driver who has run up front. Hendrick Motorsports before has gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 in stages, or 1, 2, 3, 5 or whatever. They've been all of them in the top 5 in stages before, can't get the finishes. If you run up front well and long enough, eventually the law of averages shows that you're able to break through and get that. And again, all of these guys, it's Talladega. They could easily wreck. That is the big question. I think that's the biggest question for Team Penske. Team Penske has been undeniably the fastest team at super speedways this year, probably last year as well. I'd have to go back and look just to be sure. Team Penske, the 2, the 12, the 22, Cindric, Blaney, Logano. And you know what? Add in Josh Berry if you want to. They have the speed. They don't get the finishes. They always get wrecked out. Joey Logano is the poster child for this. He'll run up front, lead the most laps, get crashed with 7 to go in the big one. If it happens again, I swear the simulation is broken. You always see these guys as some of the favorites, but you know, it's something always happens. Something always happens to them. Some others, you know, looking through this pack that I'd look at as guys that could maybe pop up. You see him there on the bottom, BJ McLeod. Again, I know, really funny. He's run up front at Talladega before, and last year had speed. I don't know if that speed will carry over or not again. On the other end, you know, there's some other guys you could watch through the field. Austin Dillon, always is good to sneak up once every couple years and either get a super speedway win or run up front in these races. The one that I have a question about is the entire Spire team, because Spire's run well here before. Haley, McDowell especially, same with Hocevar. All of them should be on the radar. They totally should. Hocevar, I mean, almost won the Atlanta race earlier this year. Though, again, I think a totally different animal than Talladega. But with the deal with Rodney Childers that happened, I kind of am wondering what the fallout to that'll be. It could be nothing. It's Talladega. They just draft together. They've shown speed before. That probably, I would assume, work with the Hendrick cars and other Chevys. But that should be something to keep in the back of our minds. Like if that entire organization, or especially the 7 team with Haley, is in complete disarray, then we're seeing the real fallout to the decisions that they made. 62, yes, thank you. 62 car of Alfredo. Somebody who runs surprisingly good too. Those are super speedway aces of a team. You know, there's a lot of people you can watch in this. I really think, though, the strongest ones will probably be the Penske cars. It's about if they can close or they can at least stay out of trouble. And then one more thing about the Cup race I want to talk about before we kind of pivot towards the Xfinity race a little bit. Do we see a flip? That's been a big talk. It's happened a ton at super speedways. Ryan Preece, we're looking at you, buddy, because it seems like every couple of races, he's up in the air waving to the blimp. You know, I think we have a pretty good chance to with this next gen car the way it is. There's been talk about having a flap on the A post, I think, or the, you know, or the somewhere else on the side of the car to try and get them to stop flipping. They are adamant that it has nothing to do with the underbody, though a lot of drivers have said the same thing, that it is something to do with the underbody. I think Chase Elliott was one to say that. By the way, we're in the poll here. It's about 50-50 on your favorite super speedway. So we're going to do a yes or no, or yes, multiple, I think is a good one. Do we see a flip today? Because I think it's a yes. I think we see one. I don't think we see multiple, but I think we see one. I don't want to see it, but I think we will. While you guys are voting on that, and I see what you guys, you know, a lot of guys saying a lot of things, negative, positive, all that. A lot of you, though, pretty positive we're going to have a flip. Though you're like me too, and it's probably not going to be multiple. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we don't have one. Fingers crossed it's kind of like the majority of the Xfinity race and we don't have too many problems. Let's talk about the Xfinity race for a moment. I'm going to be honest, I don't think my stance has changed at all. I do think that the right call was made yesterday with the rules in place. I think a lot of people, there's the misunderstanding that the safety equipment and vehicles can just drive up onto the track under green. That's not a rule. That's not the case. There is a rule against that. They have to wait until the caution comes out due to safety, because God forbid they send them out on a hot racetrack and there's the day that somebody ends up spinning into a bunch of ambulances or people, and we get the worst case scenario. I'd be willing to have options to try and maybe fix it, or not. Maybe not fix is the right word, but maybe improve upon it. I brought up after, I believe, Atlanta, that maybe we have something where it's like there's sensors on the track. And this would take a whole lot of time to maybe fix. But maybe like NASCAR, when they press the button, if somebody is past that sensor on the last lap, they stay green. If everybody else is behind it, they have to slow down under a caution. Maybe that's something it could do one day. But after getting confirmed, I did not have it confirmed yesterday because I was live and I didn't want to just go off of just what people on social media were saying. But after hearing for sure that Connor Zilisch was talking about his back being in pain, I'm with NASCAR on it. I think that a driver who sounds like they're in pain with their back, especially after in the last couple years, in the last decade, we've had a lot of back injuries in NASCAR, a lot of injuries with this car. I get it's the Xfinity side, but like, especially we'll talk the Cup race. I think the same thing should happen. And with that and stay consistent. I would much rather put driver safety up top than have a good finish, because technically we had a great finish to the 2020 Daytona 500. But then we almost lost Ryan Newman and none of us cared about the finish. No one cares how close it was, even if it was called under caution beforehand. No one cared. They're like, oh, that's cool. But this dude's head just got hit by a car at 190 miles an hour. It sucks. But at the same time, I don't think that we are also owed green flag finishes. I feel like I've been consistent on this. I am someone who is very much pro race to the scheduled distance. Do not have a green white checkers. We can have cautions, even though I don't like them. It sucks. Not every race ends up being great. The fact is, though, we've had way too many damn races end like this. And I think the big question we should have today, rather than the Xfinity race and if it was a right call or not, are we going to get the same damn thing today? Because I think Eric put it out there that only one across all three series, only one race had a satisfying finish at a super speedway this year. And I believe it was Trucks Atlanta. And that was great. But there's so many of these races that end under caution, big ass wreck right at the end, and we're all just sort of left here holding the bag, being upset. I do think we have that kind of finish today. And I think we're gonna have the same reaction of yesterday, except it's gonna be exploded probably 4 times as big because there's gonna be 4 times the audience watching. And we're gonna be all having the same discussion we had yesterday. I hate being a Debbie Downer right at the end here. I swear I'm trying not to. Yeah, ARCA under yellow. That doesn't surprise me at this point. I watched the Ride the Dente 200 at Daytona they had, and I think it was Matt Weaver who said, "I don't know what the Dente is, but I want off this ride." I think we're probably gonna have a big wreck with like 7 to go. That's like the magic number right now. We're going to get back going with 3 or 4 to go and probably have a crash in the last lap or have an overtime or 2 overtimes. And it's just going to be a cluster and everyone's going to complain. And I'm probably going to be on here complaining too, unfortunately, because I don't want to complain. Believe it or not, outside the last 3 Cup races, I've actually had a lot of fun with this Cup season. I've actually thought it was pretty good before then. But yeah, we're gonna have, Bill Weber always in my head. We're gonna wait for scoring in his like very nasally voice, or 5 overtimes. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me. But yeah, I am I will be very pleased if we have a nice long run to the green flag finish and no big wreck. I would actually, it would be very refreshing not to have a big one today. Even if the racing isn't the greatest, just to see 30 cars run across the line, like 2014's fall race. I always think with that, like having all those cars go across the line, no big wreck, is awesome. Like that's just so cool. It's like that, that is the best drivers showing why they're the best. But either way, it's Talladega. I can't help but be excited for it. It's just there's that aura to it. You know, that's the word that's going around right now. That's a trendy word. There is an aura to Talladega, unlike any other. And I will always be excited for Talladega coming up. And I'm excited for today. Race starts in about an hour and a half. We will be live after the race tonight, whenever that is, within 10 or so minutes. Link will probably go up at the end of stage 1, give or take. So be sure to come on in and hang out if you want. It's really fun in the live chat. I appreciate you guys coming in early. I don't really like push out these pre-race ones just because I just like kind of chilling and talking to y'all about it. So knock on wood, we have fun today. I hope you guys enjoy the race. Can't wait to see you afterwards. Have a good one, y'all. Later.